I'm Dr. Dave Janda. Welcome back to our combined Dave versus the MSM and Operation Freedom briefings. I thank you for joining me today, and I hope you'll join us 24/7. At a minimum, for our news ticker that provides news that in that ticker you'll never see in the bought-off lamestream fake media at davejanda.com. It's 24/7. But in addition, there's a tremendous amount of free public information and content. But in particular, it's our premium service content and email service that's the real bang for the buck on that site. I go into content and information through the sources I've developed over the past, 37 years now. Ooh, time flies. That you can't get from any other source. There's nobody obviously in the bought-off lamestream fake media, but in the independent media that has the sourcing I do and the depth of sourcing I do, not just in the United States, but around the world. Which is why we can comfortably say we put you months, if not years, and in some cases decades ahead of the curve, so you can take the necessary steps to protect you and your family and your loved ones. There's a minimal charge. 30 cents a day, $9 a month. It renews every month. You don't have to sign up for a year, but it's a month to month. Our goal is to educate you with information and thereby empower you. And in this day and age, with the deep state and their continual sea of chaos and tsunamis of chaos, you need to be ahead of the curve. Join us. DaveJanda.com. By the way, the radio show every Sunday can be streamed live free from DaveJanda.com. Just hit the listen live button, starting at 2 o'clock Eastern. But the podcasts are part of the subscription platform, along with the other 4 to 5 video format shows I do every week of content that if I discuss on social media platforms, I'll get banned. If I discuss on the radio, the FCC will shut Wham Talk 1600 down, which is why DaveJanda.com exists. So today's title is, will it be controlled or chaotic? What am I talking about? Well, we got enough chaos around the world, don't we? You name it. But this is in particular about the financial reset. You cannot have $37 trillion in debt in the United States, a couple hundred trillion actually, when you look at the unfunded liabilities and mandates. You cannot have that and expect to grow out of it or expect to tax your way out of it, or, well, you want to talk about chaos, you can default your way out of it, but nobody makes it through that. And which brings us to what's going to happen. And it's not just the United States. The worldwide financial system is built on paper derivatives. Notice I didn't say assets. Paper derivatives that are a house of cards. And you need to protect yourself. The globalist scum, the banking syndicate, international bank, not your local banker, but the international banking scum, have all set themselves up and protected themselves for the coming financial reset. Read that as collapse. You see, the syndicate, out of these collapse events, their playbook tells them that they'll always get more power control and more financial resources at your expense and my expense and every person in the world's expense that isn't in that globalist hierarchy. And again, the hierarchy, the family names, boy, they hate it when I do this, but we do it. The Rothschilds, the Rockefellers, the Lazards, the Pinkuses, the Warburgs, the Seifs, the Loebs, and the very top of the pyramid, a family by the name of Payseur, Payseur, look it up. They're the big benefactors. They're the masters of chaos. And the last thing they want is for a financial takedown to be controlled, because if it's chaotic, there are more victims. These people are psychopaths. No, I'm not calling names. It's a diagnosis. that's accurate. And the financial system has been rigged with the explosives of debt to come down. The syndicate wants the buildings to not just come down in their own footprints, but to just list left and right repeatedly, because there can be more victims that way. So there are some people around the world, Viktor Orban, I actually believe Meloni in Italy, Donald Trump, they know what's coming, and they want to make sure as few people get hurt as possible. And that as the system comes down, what they're trying to do is make it so that it's more controlled versus what the syndicate wants: chaotic, uncontrolled, panic, chaotic takedown. That's what the syndicate wants. So those are the two scenarios. Now, Dan Oliver, a financial analyst, recently wrote, "One misplaced step could turn a controlled demolition into a panic unwind of the entire global credit bubble. A central bank bailout would have to be on a scale larger even than COVID. And central bank balance sheets are so weak that there is no guarantee that the next intervention will be successful, in which case paper assets, bonds, stocks, and currencies, along with their derivative associates, collapse in tandem. This has occurred over the years in many emerging markets, but now it's the entire financial market." You got to protect yourself, folks. And they're the warning signs. It's not just Dan Oliver. Financial analyst Edward Dowd said the following: "The revelations since the new administration took power have confirmed what many of us suspected, that the Democrats, rhinos, bureaucrats, all globalists, and non-government organizations, NGOs, networks, have systemically pilfered the Treasury for decades in the United States while setting up retribution for noticing through censorship, lawfare, weaponization of government and intel agencies, and executing psyops. When we look financially, a significant portion of our gross domestic product is in fact fraud, as are all the government numbers, like the employment numbers and the like." What did we see recently? The economy grew more than expected at 139,000 jobs, and we were expecting 120,000 jobs. Well, when you looked at that data, they added 199,000 fictitious jobs through what's called the birth-death model. In other words, there was a job loss, but according to the government. And this was true throughout this fudge factor of the Biden administration, Obama, all of them. It wasn't as blatant in the Trump 1.0 administration as it was with Biden and Obama, but it was still some bogey number there every month. And as Dowd points out, normies, the public that just are going along to get along. What time's the game on? Oh, who's on American Idol? Wow, did you watch America's Got Talent? The normies are still clueless about how deep the rot really goes. Right. Now, one thing I've told you over the years is the syndicate, the globalist scum syndicate, the deep state, the New World Order crowd, the criminal international banking syndicate, the shadow government, it's all the same. They see all of us that they fondly call the useless eaters, and they do, by the way. That's not conspiracy theory. That's not urban legend. It's actually true. I've heard it spoken over the years in D.C. about the useless eaters. Yeah. When they thought ears were not present from the freedom movement. These two ears. They see us as all being in the shower and them flushing the toilet. Now, anyone who's been in a shower with the toilet right next door, when it flushes, the water temperature changes, right? And they believe in their own set of ethics, if that's what you want to call it, a psychopathic behavior and mentality, that if they tell us what they're about to do or what's coming, that they're vindicated. That those who are smart enough to figure it out should be able to live another day, but those that didn't, well, hey, you know what? Pfft, goodbye. So one of the biggest financial globalists around is this little person that they poise as this little grandpa from Omaha, Nebraska, Warren Buffett, right? Who's a globalist of the highest order. So Warren Buffett has this company by the name of, and it's a holding company of many other companies called Berkshire Hathaway. And he has an annual meeting every year where people have a pilgrimage to pay homage to Warren Buffett. So at the most recent Berkshire Hathaway meeting, Warren Buffett actually gave a heads up. Because in this reset, they're taking down the dollar, right? And they're going to try to crowd as many people into, well, we have a solution for you. They're called central bank digital currencies. Just say no. Or we have a basket of our own currencies that really don't have any backing behind it, but we're going to call them SDRs, special drawing rights, of baskets from fiat, paper-based, vapor-based currencies that will take the place of dollars and the like, and you'll be happy. What did Klaus Schwab say from the World Economic Forum? In the future, people will have nothing and be happy about it? No. So these SDRs, again, just say no. Let's channel Nancy Reagan. Just say no. Both the central bank digital currency. No. But he gave us a heads up. Here's what he said at his annual meeting. There could be things that would happen in the United States and around the world that would make us want to own a lot of other currencies. Clearly indicated that the dollar's on its way out to losing its privilege as the world's reserve currency. Other currencies. Like what? How about gold and silver? If you read the Constitution, you will see that the only entities they labeled our founding fathers as currency were physical gold and physical silver. If you look over 6,000 years' time of humans meandering around the planet, what has been treated as a currency that maintains its store of value and purchasing power has not been paper stuff. It's physical gold and physical silver. Warren Buffett's dad, not that many people are aware of this, was a congressman from Nebraska. Did a lot of writing. And in one of his essays, he wrote the following, quote, "Paper money gives the individual who owns it no independence because it has no redemptive value. In other words, it's based on vapor. In the current case, Federal Reserve notes are based on debt, D-E-B-T. Warren Buffett's dad, Howard, went on. Under such conditions, the individual citizen is deprived of freedom of movement. He is prevented from laying away purchasing power for the future with paper assets, paper money. He becomes dependent upon the goodwill of the politicians for his daily bread, unless he lives on land that will sustain him. Freedom for him does not exist with paper money." end quote. And he closed his essay with this warning. Warren Buffett's daddy. Quote, unless you are willing to surrender your children and your country to galloping inflation, war, and slavery, then this demands your support. For if human liberty is to survive in America, we must win the battle to restore honest money. There is no more important challenge facing us than this issue. The restoration of your freedom to secure gold in exchange for the fruits of your labors. End quote. And there you have it. You've been warned. Yet again. The globalists also warned us through their own IMF, International Monetary Fund, globalist entity. They recently said, quote, the global economic system, they're telling you, hey, you in the shower, about to flush. Quote, the global economic system under which most countries have operated for the last 80 years is being reset. Their words, not mine. Ushering the world into a new era, end quote. An era that one of their little puppets, Klaus Schwab, said, you'll have nothing and you'll be happy. But we've been warned. Stick with paper assets? Paper assets that are based on vapor or based on debt? We told you. And if you really want to protect yourself, your best financial insurance policy is what Howard Buffett, Warren Buffett's daddy, told you. You want your freedom? Well, it's called physical precious metals. And if you look, you don't even have to look behind the curtain. The system, the dollar-based, paper money-based system, is imploding. Physical precious metals were originally traded in London. And then the subsidiary, if you want to call it, opened up, called the COMEX in the United States for these commodity trades. But there was very little physical commodity associated with it. It's all paper, which can be manipulated, which can be, what's the best way to put it? Can be created out of thin air without any kind of physical commodity backing. And what we're seeing right now is a commodity marketplace is being set up in Shanghai. A physical exchange. And we're seeing huge quantities of gold, silver, and other commodities physically being traded. And we're seeing the diminution of the COMEX and of the London exchanges. They're telling you what's going on. They're showing you. The problem is 99.9% of people around our country don't know. They don't know. And unfortunately, many of them don't want to know. But they will. But it'll be too late. Too late. And what's happening is the big boys and big girls on the inside are accumulating huge amounts of physical gold and physical silver. You can call it a gold and silver rush. That wasn't just in California in the 1900s and 1800s. It's now. Huge amounts of physical gold and physical silver are being accumulated not by Joe and Jane Public because they don't know. You do, but they don't. 99.9% of the people you know don't. But the big boys and the big girls and the banksters and large sovereign entities, Russia, China, Turkey, Indonesia, are all accumulating huge amounts of gold and silver physically because they're listening to the people that are about to flush the toilet. You don't have to believe me. Let's go back to 2013. Someone who, love him or hate him, has been seen by anyone with any semblance of dealing with reality as when they look at this particular person, he has a reputation of being a negotiator. And more often than not, being on the right side of the negotiation. You might not like it. You might not think it's pretty. But he's been a big winner more than he has been a loser. His name is Donald Trump. And on July 30th, 2013, he told you his golden rule of negotiating. It's really simple. Right now he keeps talking about remember? The golden age of America. He's telling you where this is going. Did he say this is the crypto age of America? No. Did he say this is the bond age of America? No. Did he say this is the stock age of America? No. Did he say this is the dollar age of America? No. Did he say this is the cash age of America? No. Did he say this is the real estate age of America? No. This is the golden age of America. Words matter. So what did he say, Dave? July 30th, 2013. The golden rule of negotiating. He who has gold makes the rules. End quote. And that exactly is what this is all about. The best chance we have of this being, and believe me, what President Trump and some of those around him, some of the other players are sketchy, but some of those around him are trying to do is they know the reset's here and now, that the death system has run its course. They want to make it more of a controlled takedown. Less people get hurt, more people come out the other side of the tunnel clean and safe and healthy and able to live their lives. His opposition, the Syndicate, wants it to be chaotic because that way there are very few that make it. And the single most effective way for this to be less chaotic and more controlled for you, if we channel the last 6,000 years of history, is for you to have physical gold and physical silver. Now, granted, there are many other things you have to do to protect yourself, and we've gone through that in multiple videos. I mean, dozens and dozens. But right now, this message is important. You see, when they bring the system down, the Syndicate needs to have some cataclysmic events occur so that the public points at the cataclysm event. Oh, it's what's happening in Russia, Ukraine. Oh, it's what's happening in the Middle East. Oh, it's what's happening with China and Taiwan. Oh, it's what's happening between India and Pakistan. Oh, it's what's happening. They want the public to point at that type of event rather than the true perpetrators that set the system in place to come down. And as chaotic as possible. They don't want you or anyone realizing that it's the criminal banking syndicates behind all this. They want you to think it's what happened over there, or over there, or over there. Nope. And that's where you come in. You need to share this video far and wide. I know. They suppress it, and they suppress notifications. They suppress how many people actually see it. They suppress likes. They suppress... I get it. I know. Believe me, I know. I've actually been on the back end of our site and watched actually, view counts can only go up, right? They can't go down. Well, no, not in our world. I've actually witnessed them going down and likes being pulled and comments being pulled. Hands off. Yeah. No. They want people misinformed, disinformed, and completely uninformed, which is why they target us, which is why DaveJanda.com exists. And I hope you'll join us 24/7. Support our team. That 30 cents a day or $9 a month is to meet our expenses. It costs thousands and thousands of dollars to have a website that's secure and safe, that has servers that are protected, that have access that blocks the bad guys from doing stuff. The radio show, I don't get paid anything from the radio station. I never have for 15 years. I have to pay thousands of dollars every month for the airtime to try to help people. Well, if you want all that to continue, support us. And if you want us to go away, which is what the deep state wants, then don't. It's that simple. There are a lot of other things that, Dave can do. But I prefer to be here and help you. I thank you for your time today. Until next time, Dave Janda signing off. Dream big and dare to fail. Thanks for joining me today.